coming to you raw and unscripted. Beaming across Ontario and beyond to places like Woodstock, Peterborough, Wychwood, and Collingwood. This is the Real Hickson Real Estate Podcast. Whether you're listening on your commute or putting on your suit, whether it's your morning stroll or you're on patrol, you just finished prayer or dropped the kids at daycare, you're in the bar, your car, or listening with the bathroom door ajar, near or far, this is the Jess and Giro Show. We're grateful for flattery and prone to inaccuracies. This is your guide to Toronto culture, people, events, news, but most importantly, real estate talk. Yes, hello folks. We're back here yet again for another exciting episode of the Hickson Real Estate Podcast. And who do we have here with us today? We have Jess.
Yeah, hello. We have a very special guest.
Probably the most special guest that we've ever had on the podcast.
Took a little bit of convincing, but she's
a lot of convincing.
But do you want to introduce yourself, Melissa?
So, my name's Malyssa. I'm the administrator at Forest Hill Real Estate here in Vaughan. I've been here for about 10 years, so I've known Jess and Giro for maybe, 3 years now? 4 years. And they finally convinced me to do the podcast.
That's right. I think you're understating yourself. I feel like you're more than just the administrator at the front. You're kind of like the engine.
The engine.
Of the brokerage.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I wear many hats.
Very relied upon, very appreciated. Do you feel appreciated here?
I do.
Just quietly?
I'm treated very well here.
Yeah, very good.
Very well.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. The main topic of today's show is women in real estate and how that's evolving, how that's changing. I don't know, it makes me feel good. Like my sister Eiley does, she does a Women Squared platform for women in tech and business, and that's always kind of exciting. Hopefully this podcast makes it their way and she can share that. But yeah, we really want to hear from you guys today. We've heard from Jess in the past and her journey, and we'll get there. But first, Melissa, what's happening in the market? What are you seeing at the moment?
So I think we're definitely in a changing market. I think things have definitely slowed down than they were at the beginning of the year. I think everyone's kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. I think these rates are really scaring everybody, but I still think that there are transactions happening, and I think there are deals to be made.
Yeah, I definitely think if you have the gut, like the kahunas, there is plenty of opportunities out there.
But you're seeing a less listings per week getting uploaded.
And I see more leases actually happening. I think that's kind of taken off more than the actual sales. Yeah,
well, I mean, like we've talked about it previously, the immigrants are coming. The immigration is really at the height now. That's the first thing they need.
Right.
Yeah, well,
and look at the secondhand car market. That's still strong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if maybe you were going to put your house for sale, you decide instead of listing it for sale, today you list it for lease, next year you decide what your plan is. Yeah.
And, as we've talked about previously as well, imagine, okay, all these immigrants, and they're not poor people, they're not war-torn for the most part. These are people coming with jobs that have jobs here. It'll take them a while to build their credit, their credibility, get settled, put their roots down. This time next year, we could say, the first-time home buyer thing going absolutely nuts.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's actually what's going to happen. I think all these immigrants that are now leasing are going to turn into buyers eventually.
They need to establish their credit. Exactly. They have to establish
even people that are getting rentals now, they're like, oh my God, this is so expensive for me personally. They're going to say, I'm just going to eat this for a year and try and save. And in typical, immigrant fashion, they're always hustling and doing what they can to kind of get ahead and not being kind of lax about it. And I think, it's gonna blow up next year. We'll have to see.
And are you seeing a big difference between list price and sale price?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And no more bidding wars. I think a lot of buyers have PTSD from bidding wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going in with firm and not having a home inspection or having their financing lined up, and I think that's definitely slowed down.
So you're seeing the 5-day financing, 5-day inspection almost every time, you think?
I would say every time.
I mean, I personally agree with that. I think they were talking about implementing a 10-day mandatory cooling off period, which is what happens in Australia. in order to get your finances in order, in order to get, everything aligned. I think that's better. And for the seller, it's better because what we were seeing, and I don't know if you're seeing it too, was some houses that were falling through, coming closing.
Yeah. Right. Like, you want to make sure all your ducks are lined up before, because then you're going to be dealing with a disaster on closing when they don't have their funds, and then what?
Yeah.
And that whole process is, we don't really like to talk about that. It's very messy. It's a whole legal process.
Very expensive.
Suing involved.
Very, dark. But I was even seeing things today that, you usually see 97-98% of list price is what things go. I was seeing up to 86% of list price.
Mm-hmm.
So overpricing your home is not how you're going to sell your home.
No.
I think that might also be, people seeing numbers or comparables, or even agents that are listing their houses using comparables from, let's say, back in closer to February, maybe March, April.
Even 4 months ago, you can't even use those numbers.
No, and I think also these sellers are coming back down to reality a bit.
Yes.
They're not expecting January, February pricing.
I called it the equilibrium. It's like sellers getting more realistic in price and buyers kind of getting used to the new interest rates and the new carrying costs.
And more confident.
Yes.
And more confident, exactly.
Process.
It feels like the buyers are taking risks with some of these offers, though.
I know.
Whoa, that's good for you for buying 150, 200,000.
And what feeds into it, as well as public opinion, what a lot of these people are reading. All these we've been talking about it for the last 2 months. They're all reading these doom and gloom news articles, and it feeds into their ideas. So they put it up, they try to get something, and whether it's their realtor that has the same information, but they just get scared.
Yeah.
The headlines: Canada home prices dropping 25% next year. That's probably true, but not the GTA.
But just not to push it along, but Malyssa did that. She got a little bit of a deal on her property as well. So she can tell us her experience of,
I actually got 2 deals, I guess, if we're going to really talk about it.
We will get into that. I wanted to just first ask you, which we were kind of talking about anyways, what do you see here being at the front desk? We've talked about agents trying to keep their finger on the pulse and reading the wrong articles or the right articles, but you see what all the agents are doing.
Right. So I think that agents need to, now no offense to you guys, I think agents need to work again.
Yeah.
I think it was too easy in the beginning of the year. All you had to do was put it on MLS and everything else just kind of fell into place.
Yeah, because there's 50 buyers for one property.
Exactly. Agents now need to door knock. They need to do their follow-up. They need to work on their CRM. They have to actually work now, and I think that's a bit
stage and good photography and
I think that's
houses.
a bit of an adjustment for some of these agents. They thought it was
never
so
us.
easy.
We did all those.
No, not you. And my agents are all pretty good, but I think it's just that adjustment back into okay, now I have to actually work.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the transition that we're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, we know, from a business perspective, if you've done all the right things to begin with, you will be able to float through these down markets, as we call them.
Right.
I mean, the market is kind of just, I would call it even just leveling out.
Yes.
We were in a Zoom this morning about all the interest rates and the home prices over the last couple of years, 3 years, whatever, and we've really just settled back into a relaxed pattern, whereas what was happening probably the last 6 to 8 months, let's count March backwards.
Yeah.
It wasn't sustainable.
No.
Anyways.
And everybody knew that eventually that was going to level out. That wasn't going to keep going higher and higher.
It's just impossible, yeah.
But also, to be frank, garbage was selling.
Yeah, for a crazy
amount.
Well,
but
this is
now there are a few good homes on the market and they sell.
Yeah.
And everything else, they don't. If it's not taken care of.
Well, this is the advice we're giving to people. If you're looking to buy right now, whether it's getting a first home or getting, upsizing like you did, Malyssa, which we'll get to, now you have a fantastic choice. Imagine, you can go out and you can see maybe 10, 12 homes over a course of a week and a half, 2 weeks, and you can go back to homes that you think about again. And you're like, now that I've seen enough, now I know what looks good. Maybe the first home you saw was the best.
Right.
But now you have the time. And then on top of that, you can ask under list price and put the pressure on the seller. Imagine a situation where you have that.
It seems like a luxury almost.
Yeah.
It's a luxury.
Yeah.
And we go back to February. Oh, great, I could sell my home for this amount.
Yeah.
unless you were downsizing, the only way that worked out is if you were downsizing, it made the most sense. If you were downsizing, you sold in the height of February, like pat on the back, even though you had to probably buy like, a condo or a bungalow, whatever the downsize was, it was still more expensive relatively. You were squeezing the most out of the market.
Yes.
Now, I'm not recommending to downsize. I would tell them to wait if they can.
Yeah.
If they're able to.
If they're able to.
But yeah, we're seeing some fantastic power being given back to buyers, even though it's still a seller's market.
Yes.
Which people don't understand.
No.
Yeah, the amount of inventory is still low.
Very low.
Still low. We're still
very low.
We're still short. It was 660,000 homes in the GTA alone that we're short of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like still 2 months worth of inventory. It's not enough.
No.
Okay, so in saying that, what, if any, do you have predictions for the market, Malyssa?
I think the rest of the year is going to be slow.
Okay.
I think maybe in the spring, people are going to start putting their houses for sale, and I think that inventory is going to kind of level out, and we're going to be in a healthy buyer-seller market.
Okay.
Like a more balanced market.
More balanced,
right.
Yes.
And when do you think the spring market's going to start next year?
I think spring market's going to start end of February, beginning of March.
Yeah, because we've seen it like earlier and earlier every year.
It was like the second week of January last
year.
year.
I think it's going to be more of like our normal, let's say, real estate spring market.
Yeah. End of February.
Yeah, I think the
Just
interest rates maybe
March
will
break.
be a little bit more settled, and people are going to feel more comfortable making a purchase, making a sale, and I think that's when it's going to be a little bit healthier of a market.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that these interest rates are still historically low. Like, yes. I mean, I know in the 1940s is not, or even the 1980s for that matter, is not the same as today. I get that. But if you look at the graph, it's still very close to the bottom.
Yeah.
I think, again, like, it's like this PTSD. Everybody thought, okay, I'm getting a rate for, let's say, 1.52%, and then everything shot up, and now everybody's losing their pants because they can't afford these homes, and everybody is so overextended, and inflation, and everything like that.
It hits a ceiling. Like, it's a natural, and, same goes the other way. Like, once prices get so low, it will literally hit the bottom, and there'll be, like, a resistance. Like, people talk about this phenomena in stocks as well, and, like, the bottom can be crashed, and the ceiling can be broken, but
our memory is not very long, because 2019, the rates were over 4%.
Right.
People don't remember.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's like everyone had their blinders on and they just focused on 2% or 1.5%.
I'll tell you right now, I signed a mortgage in 2019 for 4.14. I remember. Yeah. I won't forget it.
And that was normal. Nobody thought that was outrageous or anything like that.
Yeah, like you were lucky to get 3.89 at that time.
Yeah.
So we have to remember a few years. The pandemic was a very specific moment in time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The rates were that way for a reason.
Right.
It was a complete market disruptor.
It was.
Because it skewed all the results prior. Like, you almost can't even look at the graph prior to the pandemic.
Can.
Yeah.
Because it's completely out the window. Like,
and it's totally irrelevant now.
Yes.
It is.
Exactly. It's another shift.
And I feel like we're settling into a new kind of...
It's the way you can't compare prices from February, because that was a very specific moment in time, and it was inflated beyond.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't hold on to what happened before, because it's not the same.
That's right. And, a lot of people listening, if you want more information on, like, where your head should be at in real estate, just reach out to us. Every we're talking generally here. Every neighborhood's different. I've just done my CMAs for all my clients, which is basically, comparing quarterly results of what their house might be selling for now to, like, earlier in the year. And, like, this is not the fun one, because I did it last time. It was in March.
Yeah.
Right?
It's pretty shocking.
But here's the funny thing. People have still done better than when they first bought it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Even the year before, even if they bought it in 2020, they still
did.
But
Yes.
And, I've found some people in some neighborhoods, whether it's a townhouse or a condo or a detached house, some people have held on to their value better, which is actually a fantastic insight for me, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to recommend someone to do an investment in some kind of property, in some kind of area, like, these are the best performing over.
Yeah.
It's like when a stockbroker or a mutual fund advisor or whatever comes to you and they say, hey, look at these mutual funds, whatever. Mm-hmm. They'll show you the 2020 when everything dropped in March, but they'll show you, like, if we look at 1 year, it was terrible, but if we look now over a 5-year period, you can see what actually performed overall.
Yeah.
Better.
Right.
Okay, so let's get into the main topic of discussion for today, which is women in real estate. No. And I'm not involved in this conversation. No.
Oh, really? Just walked away. Can see you later.
Okay, bye, Jerome.
But, I want to talk about the idea of, financial independence. Not that this is a new idea, but it's becoming a greater idea, and it should always become a greater idea. And that's just, I don't know how far back we take it, because you go back before we were even born, but... just the idea that women getting real estate for themselves, being independent, again, it's not a new idea, but it's a fantastic thing that's, I think, is growing and getting better.
Yes, I agree.
And I want to talk about your story as well, Melissa.
Okay.
So, what were your ideas of real estate before getting to real estate at all, when you were still renting or living at home? I want to hear a little bit about your story and what your journey was, and kind of your thoughts before and then your thoughts after.
So I grew up in the business, so I'm kind of similar to Jess. So my mom owned a brokerage in King City. Mm-hmm. So after school, we would go to the office, me and my sister, and we would do our reception duties, let's say, and that was our part-time job. So when she was selling, me and my sister, we would go with her, we would do the offers, because they had offers old school where you had to go to the house.
Yeah,
it was like pen and paper, the seller and buyer sat across the table from each other. And at that point, I never really thought one day I'm going to be able to buy a house like this.
Right.
And back then, a big house, a normal house, let's say, didn't cost what it costs now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I grew up in seeing all of this happen from the office side and from the selling side. And then as I got older and I started getting more into real estate, I realized it's definitely doable. If I work hard and I save my money, I can do it.
Is this ideas that your parents showed you?
No.
Or you just came up with it?
I kind of came up with it myself when I started working here. And I saw that it's hard and it's going to take a lot of work and blood, sweat, and tears, but it's definitely a possibility for me. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just took that idea and ran with it. So I started saving money. I started really being conscious of what I was spending my money on.
Yep.
And I'm a big spender, so I really had to try to cut back. And I saved and I saved and I saved, and I didn't put down 20% the first time, so I insured my mortgage broker, insured my mortgage, because I just didn't have the funds to do 20% down.
But you understood you didn't need to.
Exactly, and that's kind of, I think, a misconception.
Mm-hmm. And the other misconception is actually putting less and having an insured mortgage. Sometimes you get a better interest rate than if you were uninsured.
Right. Mm-hmm. And my price was under $1 million, so I didn't necessarily have to put 20%. So when I bought my first condo, I was looking for... So I lived at home probably until I was, 28.
Okay.
No, longer. 28, 29. And I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew the building I wanted to be in. I knew what view I wanted. I knew what layout I wanted. I know what unit number I wanted.
Yeah?
So I did so much.
Because you studied all the floor plans and stuff like that?
Yeah, I knew where it was from the elevator, from the garbage chute. I knew exactly what I wanted.
That's hilarious.
So I would just sit there on MLS and wait for this unit to come out.
Yeah, did you set up little search notifications and stuff?
Yes, did a prospect search for yourself.
And some units would come out, and I remember... This was back in August or June to August of 2021. So we were kind of at that dip after COVID. Things were kind of sitting. People didn't want to buy condos because they weren't comfortable living in a common space. And I used that to my advantage. So a condo came out. I had offered on 2 condos before the one I got. And I remember I drive my agent crazy, obviously, because that's just what I do.
Yeah.
And I
first time buyers. Yeah.
I remember calling him and being like, "Okay, I want to put an offer on this condo, but I don't want to go in at ask price. I want to go lower." And I remember we were fighting for $5,000, and I wouldn't go $5,000 more. I think my agent wanted to rip my hair out at this point.
But you know what?
Right. But hang on, you were fighting with your agent.
Like, he wanted me to say, like, it's $5,000, Melissa, just do it. And I'm like, no, like, I'm not doing it. I set that boundary, and I'm not passing that boundary.
Okay, good for you.
Now, in the, like, long run, I'm like, $5,000 is really nothing.
It's not, but
that's the thing.
But you have to learn that for yourself.
Yeah, and when I'm in it, I'm like, that's a lot of money for me, $5,000 extra. Like,
but you didn't understand that it's
I didn't understand it.
over.
No,
yeah.
No.
When you start working it out, by the way, for those of you listening at home or wherever you're listening, $5,000 is a lot of money. In real money, cash money in your hands.
Yes.
But when you have that amortized, as Jess said, over 30 years, it is actually like oh, I'm just not going to get this coffee this week.
Yeah.
So in the long run, I can see where the frustration came from my agent. But still, I set that boundary.
But he's working for you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So we lost out on that. I was disappointed, but that's fine. I knew something better was going to come.
Right.
So I think a few weeks later, another unit came out. Within 2 hours, I put an offer. I didn't even go see it.
Mm-hmm.
I put an offer, and we gave them exactly what they wanted. We gave them their asking price and their closing.
Mm-hmm.
And the agent called my agent and said, I don't get it. Like, there's something wrong. Like, I don't get it. You gave me my asking price and my closing. Like, I don't get it.
You haven't even been there.
You haven't even been there. Like, I don't get it. And he's like, my client knows exactly what she wants. She wants this unit.
Yeah.
We gave you exactly what you wanted. Like,
just sign the papers.
Just accept it.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up signing it back for $5,000 more. So that $5,000 came back and bit me.
Of course.
Oh my
And I took it. I said, that's fine, I'll take it. So,
that's hilarious. But you had been through that process.
But you understood now that it wasn't make or break it. Yeah.
And that $5,000, like you're saying, is a cup of coffee every day. It's nothing.
And like what I like to do is, because I like to work with first-time home buyers, is deliver them these concepts like mental obstructions that you don't understand.
No.
Like
but there was something that wasn't
picture.
pushing you the first time because you still had in your head that maybe there was something better that was going to come out.
Exactly.
So,
and like I believe in the universe and everything happens for a reason.
Totally.
We say that all the time. If you wanted it, you would have pushed for it. But this one you wanted.
This one I wanted. I bought it without even seeing it. Like, who does that? That's how confident
But you're
I was.
a bit different because like you understand exactly, like you see, and we've seen, Jess and I have seen thousands of condos.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if the condo is wide enough, it maybe has an island or a peninsula kitchen.
Right.
It has like laminate or hardwood, if you're lucky, and it has floor-to-ceiling windows. I can guarantee you that condo is going to be good.
Yeah.
Without maybe something obstructing the view or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Like I can tell you, like what. Because condos can get very monotonous.
Yes.
Some of them can be unique, split level, dual, whatever it is. Either way, the point is, I can educate people on what a good condo, a good investment is, but you had a little bit of an advantage.
I did. And I did my research. I knew, I had been watching the buildings. I knew exactly what it is I wanted.
Yeah. And like, as I said, these concepts, just to get your head in the right space of like, obviously you want to lowball someone, right? That's the first instinct.
Right.
Across any culture that, however you do business. Yeah. Your first instinct is, I want to offer less than they're asking for it. And the funny thing is, they could probably have raised the price to begin with. Right. Which is what, obviously like clearance sales and stuff at furniture stores, that's what they do too. Mm. They, prematurely like inflate the price and then they take off the $100,000 or whatever and it's the same price as it would have been. But you feel like you got a better deal.
And it's so scary. Like, this is the biggest purchase I'm ever going to make in my life. Yeah. It was so scary and so terrifying, and I didn't want to overpay because I had seen what was going on before, and I would have been, like, it was very scary. Yeah. It was very scary for me.
And it's the first time you're doing it. Like, you're going to have reservations if you don't want to push yourself too far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But imagine this in the future, like right now, whatever you bought the condo for, maybe it's $500,000, $600,000, whatever it was. Imagine in the future, there's going to be a one-bedroom condo for sale in Toronto, and it's going to be $1 million.
Right.
And maybe the year before that it was like $950,000, but now it's $1 million.
Yeah.
And now someone that's been renting or living at home, whatever it is, studying, whatever it is, now they have to face the prospect of buying $1 million property.
I know.
But that's going to be the norm.
I know.
But if you break it down, once you break down the costs, okay, here's the monthly carry. Maybe the interest rates are better because the price is so high. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We don't look into the future and pretend to know. But, you look at the monthly carry, then you look at the maintenance fees, then you look at the taxes, then you set yourself a budget, and you're like, wow, actually, that $1 million, it actually breaks down to this, and this. I'm like, I can actually, I could do that.
Right.
Okay, so the real question is, this is a unit that you, wanted, you were dying for it, it was the one.
Yes, it was the one.
And you lived in it for less than a year.
I closed on the unit, and the unit was nice. Like, it didn't need any sort of renovations, but I wanted to make it how I wanted it to look.
Yeah.
So I did a minimal renovation. We're talking like as basic as
lipstick
it could get.
on a
Yes.
Some fresh
so
paint.
I took out all the floors and put in light floors.
Yep.
I didn't do hardwood. I did vinyl. So I tried to opt out for the cheaper alternative where
but the
I could.
look still
But the look was there.
Right.
And I find that people are buying the look.
Yes.
If you can make it look a certain way, they will pay the price for it.
Yeah.
So I did things like that. I changed the hardware on the kitchen. I changed the vanities in the bathroom. I tried to get cute little items to decorate it with.
Did you do this by yourself, by the way, or did you have help?
Yes, I did have help with contractors and trades and just kind of bringing my vision to life.
Cool. And so you did the renovations.
So I did the renovation.
This is fantastic advice, by the way. Like, you could literally do this. You know, like, they talk about flipping houses. What about flipping condos?
Yeah.
Well, you know, like, I personally like some of the condos that were made, like, in the early 2000s to late 2000s. They have decent square footage. Okay, maybe they have parkade. Maybe they have the ugly cabinetry, but it still has a nice, like, peninsula island. And as I talked about earlier, like, the actual, like, a nice layout with, like, good windows. You can just do the floors, repaint it, maybe reface the cabinets, do some new hardware.
And
some of this stuff is quite easy.
It's so easy.
And then maybe sell it in 6 months or a year
or
3 months.
or 3 months in your case. Okay, so continue. Go ahead.
I did the renovations, moved in, everything was great. This was in November of 2021. Then 2022 hit, beginning of the year, and one of the condos in my complex sold for a crazy price.
Yes.
Like, how much of an increase? You don't have to tell us numbers, but like percentage wise.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, guys. We just stopped there because we had to do some calculations and some math. But tell me, what you got really lucky because you nailed the timing, and it's very hard to nail timing.
Yes. So.
But what was your percentage increase, Melissa?
31%.
31%.
From November to February.
Wow.
So I just want to say something. Like, could this happen again? Like, will it happen again? Like, maybe it could.
I think it
like,
could.
You caught the market at a low point, which is the most ideal situation.
Yes.
Then you found out your neighbor sold for that much. Then you sold. I mean, okay,
but imagine you didn't pull the trigger.
Right.
Imagine you didn't pull the trigger. And here's the other catch-22 is, like, yes, you sold on the height of the market, but what you had to buy was going to be higher. But what happened?
But she's smarter than that.
I rented.
Okay.
So I called my agent again, and I said, I'm going to put it for sale. He goes, okay, but where are you moving? He goes, if you sell high, you're buying high. Like, are you prepared to do this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I think that obviously it's going to come down. It's not going to stay at these ridiculous prices. So I'm going to sell. I got a 4-month closing.
Okay, so that's hugely important. Because closings, in some situations, would be even, like, they'd be pushing you to do a month even. Yes. Usually 2 months, but they could be pushing you for a short closing.
Right. And this is why it's so important to have a good agent on your side.
Yep.
So I was in the driver's seat. I could say whatever I wanted, and they were going to give me what I wanted. So I got my price. I got a 4-month closing.
Wow.
I closed in June of 2022. So now the market has significantly come down. And I rented. I rented a condo in the same complex. So then I'm thinking, okay, I've just made some nice money from selling this condo. This has now given me the opportunity to do that next stepping stone.
Right.
Which is what the first condo usually is.
Yeah.
Right?
Can I back it up for 1 second though?
Yes.
How many buckets of sweat on your closing day in June?
I was panicked.
Yeah.
I think I drove my agent, my lawyer, everybody crazy, panicking.
Was there any concern they weren't going to close?
They extended the closing by 1 week because the husband was self-employed and he was waiting for a paper from CRA that the mortgage broker needed because he wanted to stay with the A lender, and if he didn't give the paper, he'd have to go to a B lender.
Right.
Yeah.
I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Because
the market significantly changed in
Yeah.
that time. Like, they could have walked away. As we said, is very messy, a big disaster.
And what deposit do they put, like, percentage-wise?
So they did a 5% deposit,
Okay.
and then this is why it's so important to have such a good team.
Mm-hmm.
My lawyer and agent said, you want to extend the closing, we want another deposit now, and it's non-refundable.
Yes.
So if you do not close,
That's
I'm going to
great.
keep all
That's
of it.
fantastic move.
That's
So
a great
it made me feel a little bit more comfortable about the whole process because I was a basket case. I was so stressed.
That's very stressful.
It was very stressful.
And you were, well, you'll get there, but you closed on the next property not much later.
No. So I actually did it all over again. So I don't know if I just have like horseshoes or something.
Well,
or
you do a lot of nice
luck.
things for people.
Yeah, exactly. Karma's
It's
real.
coming back.
I mean, you work at the front, you feel the pulse of the market.
totally
At least take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Right. So I rented a condo, moved into the condo. That was great. I gave myself 1 year to decide, do I want to get back in? Do I want to keep renting? I kind of wanted to see where the market went. So now we're doing this whole thing all over again. I call my agent and I say, there's this house I want to see. But call them first and see if they're going to take less than what they're listed for because I'm not paying what they're listed for.
Yeah.
And he goes, Malyssa, like, you can't keep doing this to me. Like, it's insulting. Like, blah, 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 blah.
Can I just stop you for a second? Our clients do this with us as well.
Yeah.
And you know what Jess and I always say? Like, we are the instrument to you. We're the extension of you. I'm not going to push back. I could say it's stupid.
Right, but it's different. Like, I'm annoying them.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
But I always say we can try anything you want.
Yeah.
If it ends up like offending them and they turn around, they're like, we're never going to see an offer ever from you again.
Right.
Maybe that's the downside of this, but I would always like to try something.
Right. So,
Okay, so go ahead.
He did. He called the agent, and we actually used this to our advantage. He was an out-of-town agent. So I don't think, was as well educated on the market as my agent was. So we didn't hear back from him. A couple weeks goes by. I see the price go down 2 times. 2 price reductions. I'm like, okay, let's go see it. We go see it. The house is disgusting. It was a rental property. They had dogs. All the door frames were scratched. There was dog pee everywhere. It was in rough shape. But I can look past all of these bad cosmetic things.
Yeah.
Right.
So we go back.
You see the potential
I
in
can
the
see the
home.
potential. So we go back and I'm like, okay, let's offer. We offered, I think it was listed at 1179 and we offered 950.
Oh my
Okay.
god, that's ballsy.
They signed it back, and with all the negotiations, we ended up at 945. Okay, it was their own one and only offer.
Yeah.
The seller was out of town. She was dealing with family in Europe, so she just wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah, she was not dealing with it.
She was not dealing with it. I had a home inspection and a financing condition for 5 days. We went in and did the home inspection and got another $15,000 off the price.
Right. Did you find anything, or you said you found something?
It was more like cosmetic things because it needed a lot of work to bring it to something that I was going to be able to live in.
Okay.
So,
but you had some leverage to
I
get
had
the deal
some leverage
done.
to use it, and I was their one and only offer,
Yeah.
and it didn't show well. It was really disgusting.
Yeah.
So they wanted my offer just as much as I wanted theirs.
For sure.
So we ended up doing the deal. Everything was done. I closed on it in September, and I've started renovating since. So I gave myself a budget to renovate, and when that budget was done, that's when I was going to stop.
And you had this from the proceeds from selling the condo?
Right. So
And you're living in the condo while you're
I'm living in the
renovating?
rental condo while this is all going on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I started the renovations, and they're expensive. They're very expensive, but I did the things that I couldn't do while I was living there. So if I want to do something in 1 or
The
2
big
years,
stuff,
I can do it while I'm still living there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be ready to move in next week.
Oh, it's
Wow.
so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it came in like under budget, on time. Like
It came in a little bit over budget
And a little bit later.
and a little bit later in
Do
time.
you have trusted tradespeople that have like guided you through the process?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
because
that's
being here at the office, I'm sure you're heavily connected.
exactly, and that's I think the most important because everything's so expensive. All these materials, all these trays, and I was so scared I was gonna get ripped off.
Oh yeah.
And like
it's like the wife going to the mechanic, like, you know,
right.
For sure.
you know.
Right.
But
so
you have a very...
I had trusted people that knew that they were going to take care of me, and I was very well taken care of, and now it's come full circle.
Wow.
Wow,
See?
good for you.
So
Women doing it for
story.
themselves.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Women doing it for
Good
themselves.
for you. That's so exciting. Can't wait to see it.
I know, it's going to look so cute.
And it's important. You're kind of building your own legacy, you know.
It's true.
Independence.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, as I said, like, it is different today. Like, I think, in my opinion, like, women have a more optimistic view on things than maybe they used to, like, in the 80s, 70s, 60s, whatever. But it's nice to see.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And even if you don't stay in this house forever, which seems
my
like...
agent's already like, okay, when are we selling it and doing it again?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No.
But don't you think you're more confident now that you know you can?
Yes, because now this is technically like my second time, and it's just like that confidence. I have that confidence.
You feel
now.
so much more comfortable
And,
to do it.
you know, there's one thing I heard through all of this whole story. It's taking chances.
Yes.
And,
For sure.
and seeing opportunities and taking them.
Yes.
And it's very, very easy to just sit in your comfort zone and say, oh, no, like, that's too... But you took the chance, and I don't think a lot of people at our age might take that chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like we're still in a very weird time. Like, I had bought right before, I think it was the last two interest rates. So I think I got a great rate.
Yeah.
And obviously it's going to fluctuate, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, and I've
Riding it
budgeted and
out.
I made sure I can afford that, whatever, and ride it out kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I actually want to go back to when you closed, and we've heard from your perspective, and I was thinking, like, okay, is that horrible for the buyer? Like, maybe not. Maybe the buyer closed, even though it was a higher amount, but maybe the buyer got pre-approved for, let's say, a 1.3% interest rate or 1.7 or whatever it was, knowing that their interest rates were going up.
Right.
And, you know, knowing that they're going to live there for maybe 2 or 3 years and ride it out. So even though the buyer seemingly overpaid for your property in February, we might get back there in 2 years or a year.
Or 5 years.
Exactly.
And they might have locked in fixed rate. Imagine, oh yeah, we overpaid, right? Fear of overpaying, that's the new thing. But I got a 1.8% rate for the next 5 years.
True. Or if they put a tenant in and the tenant's paying an inflated rental amount because that's what they're
Exactly.
at right
So
now.
that's actually, so the condo that I'm renting, the buyer bought that condo 11 days after mine sold for $40,000 more than what
yours?
So there
that
you
building
go.
went nuts.
And he bought it as an investment property.
Yeah.
His rent is $2,400, which I think is kind of on the low end if that's your purchase price.
Yeah, that's to carry.
And I'm dying to ask him, why did you do that? Like, why wouldn't you just wait? If it was an investment property, why didn't you wait? I'm dying to ask him. Maybe I'll ask him
when you
one
leave.
day. But I'd be like, just out of curiosity, like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't like to assume anyone's position. You never know. Like, maybe he's running an LLC and a corporation and they had a budget for something.
True.
What I've noticed in the last 2 years, and maybe you've noticed it as well, the first 3 months, January, February, March, everything blowing up. Well, they did a study into that. They found that most people buying then, a large majority were people with multiple properties to begin with.
Right.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, they go to the accountant, they have Christmas, they have New Year's. Let's think about like what people are physically doing. They have the New Year's, they like go see family, they go away for a week. They come back mid-January when kids start going back to school.
Right.
They go to the accountant. This is for the big business, small business, whatever. And they say, yeah, here's your budget for the year. And then you go out and you start buying property. You know, regardless, like, of, you know, like what business you're in or whatever. That's the new model.
I think so. And, like, I hope that once, maybe in a few years, that I'm able to buy an investment property. Because I would definitely buy a condo. I maybe fix it up just a little bit so it looks aesthetically pleasing and then rent it out.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important. Like, I think that it's going to set me up for future success as well.
And if you can get some equity out of your property and to do the next thing, I know that's our plan too.
Yeah.
So how do you think that your mindset changed from before going to real estate to after?
Before, I really thought it was so out of reach. Like, I just thought it was so expensive and that it was never going to happen for me.
And is that because of the news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it scared me.
Yeah,
like,
for
it
sure.
really scared me, and I thought, okay, even if I could make it happen, am I going to, like, is the bank going to take it from me? Am I going to not be able to make my mortgage payments? That I'm going to have to go to family and say, like, please, I need money, and, like, try to get help from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really not that. Like, you can do it.
I mean, it's the same risk as, like, oh, what if I can't make rent this month?
Yeah. But as you said, which is the truth, you have to sacrifice. Maybe you're spending less money going out to dinner, buying alcohol.
Like, my Starbucks addiction was non-existent for a while.
But you won't die.
I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine.
It's worth it in the long run because look at you're setting yourself up for your future.
Exactly.
And, like, one of the concepts I like to teach first-time home buyers, and maybe this is like a Gary V.S. kind of thing or whatever, but imagine if you sacrificed 5 years from today. 5 years. You were boring, you didn't spend extra money that you didn't have to, you saved more than you wanted to, all these kinds of things. You're boring for 5 years, maybe you lose some friends, I get it, it's not easy. But imagine
those are some not good friends.
Right. No, but like you stopped seeing them and start going out, whatever it is.
Yeah, you
really minimize that. Imagine for 5 years you are
priorities.
super boring and you set yourself up
I know.
for the next 60.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's this concept of,
what
like,
matters.
and especially like today where millennials spend a lot of stupid money on a lot of stupid things.
Like, it's Amazon Prime right now, and I'm not, like, Prime Days, and I'm not even going on.
I can't even tell you how many packages already came for me today.
Yeah, because you're moving in next week.
I know.
And that's the time.
I know.
But it's worth it. In the long run, you gotta pick.
I do. I have to set myself up for success.
For sure.
And I mean, even just the idea of doing the renos, it's like that's on top of risk. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, you know, like, especially these days where a lot of people just, millennials included, just want to move into something done. I mean, Jess and I moved into something pretty much done. It was new. Right. Like, we really enjoy that. It's going to be hard for us.
But we did have to do a couple of upgrades.
Right.
We did little things.
Yeah.
To make it better for the future, you know, for ourselves.
Right.
Obviously, but you're also thinking about the future.
Yeah, and you want to make it your own. You don't want it to look like just
everybody else's
house. You want it to be yours.
Yeah.
And, okay, and so, like, what's your goals moving forward? What's your plan with this property? Is this, like, forever?
No, it's
or
definitely
are you, like,
not
it's
forever.
a stepping stone?
Because I've already made money on it.
Yeah.
Like, another one came out just this morning for, like, significantly more than what I bought for, even including my renovations.
Yeah.
So, I will definitely stay here for a few years.
Famous last word.
Right. We'll be back here in 6 months having another story.
Yeah.
And then either maybe take some equity out to buy an investment property or sell it, and then maybe, I don't know, I guess it's going to see kind of where the market goes as well. If I see it kind of creeping up to, like, high again, I might sell it and do this all over again.
How many bedrooms does it have?
It's 3 bedrooms.
Okay, so that could support a future life if you chose that path.
Yes.
Yeah, but
and
until
it's in
now,
a
it's
great
like
neighborhood.
until now, like, one room's gonna be your walk-in closet, another room's gonna be
right. One's a dog room, one's a closet.
Your lady cave. Is that what they call them? Lady caves.
Sure. I've never heard the term,
never heard that.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. It's
it's a she shed. Oh, no, that's
shed.
she shed.
Yeah, but that's okay. Okay, cool. And then you, like, just want to move forward. Like, obviously, you can't see what's happening, so you have to change, pivot, as they always say.
But you're in it.
I'm in the market. I'm confident with it. And I think patience is a huge thing. I have to be patient. I can't let the money burn a hole in your pocket.
Sure.
You have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so I guess what's, like, let's say 3 bits of like, advice that you would give to someone, you know, in particular a girl in your position, like when you were in that position, what would you say to them, that person?
I would say definitely save your money. I would say be patient, and you need to find good people that are going to be there for you and help you and guide you the right way.
Cool.
Great advice.
Yeah.
And on that topic, like, Jess, you went through, you know, a similar process. We've documented that before. What would you say
I would say you have to do hard things, and if you want things in the future, you have to make the sacrifices. And the stuff is scary, and hopefully you have people in your life that can help you.
And remember, $5,000 is really scary.
Yes.
Until you break it down.
But everything is. Everything, the whole, you can't take this as one big bite. Like, you have to break it up into tiny little...
Stepping stones? Would you say stepping stones?
Stepping stones, exactly.
Wow, it's almost like I've hung out with myself or something.
Yeah, but it is possible, and I think that's the main thing that and like turn off BlogTO and all the other outlets.
Like take it with a pinch of salt. Like yes, Canada might drop by 25% next year, but that's like places like New Brunswick that were way overblown.
Or they're saying like from the beginning of 2020, when everything was so inflated, it's going to drop 25%.
Yeah, exactly.
Which that's kind of going back to a healthy market again.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to understand the number. You can look at the numbers, but you have to actually analyze them because they can make them look way worse than they actually are.
And it's not. Listen, I know it's very scary, and we are in a scary time, but you can still do it.
Yeah,
you can still do it.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you. I think that kind of like wraps everything up. You were scared to come on here. It was a risk.
I was.
And
but you had fun.
You were vulnerable and brave.
It was worth it. Lahab gave me a pep talk.
But you're fantastic at this.
Thank you.
It's
next
just
week
chatting.
she's going to start her own podcast.
I'm going to call you next week and be like, what's the topic for this?
Well, it's been great hanging out in Lahab's office. He doesn't know we're here, but it's been fantastic.
He doesn't mind.
And usually I do events here. I only want to do one event. And you don't even know about this event, Malyssa.
Oh, no.
But on October the 22nd, okay, in an address that you guys have to reach out to us, we're doing a pumpkin drive. And basically all that is, we have a bunch of pumpkins. Come and pick up a pumpkin. And when you do pick up a pumpkin, we give $2 towards my favorite charity, which is Voice, which is a charity for kids who are deaf or hard of hearing.
Oh my God,
I love music. Like, I'm just so obsessed with music. And, like, the thought, I remember going through the LCBO, like, line, and I saw the charity, and I was like, man, like, of course I'm going to, there's plenty of charities that are all worthy as well, but I'm like, oh, man, it would just be so tough. It would take away that, like, extra depth of life without hearing things.
No, for sure.
So, and right now, everyone's listening to a podcast. So, so that's the chosen charity, and basically we're going to set up a little table, little local event, micro event, I think they call them, in Maple, and you have to reach out. Guys, you have to reach out, or you can be all of the GTA, doesn't matter. We're focusing on our neighborhood, which is Maple in Vaughan, but you can be kind of from all over the GTA, and reach out. Email address is hicksonrealestateteam@gmail.com. Again, hicksonrealestateteam@gmail.com. Or you can go into www.hicksonrealestate.ca/pumpkins. That's it. Yeah, that's it. And you can go on, and all it asks is you to register your name and whatever. You can leave as much or as little as you like. And then we'll give you the address of where to pick up the pumpkins on October the 22nd.
Yes,
Saturday
afternoon.
11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And come pick up a pumpkin, and then we're going to do a little pumpkin carving competition as well.
Oh my goodness.
People go on Instagram and show their pumpkin carving, and you can win some sweet prizes.
Yeah, that's everything.
That sounds so nice.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so that's pretty much it from us. Again, Malyssa, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Lahab, for letting us use your office without you even realizing.
Yep.
And thanks for taking your time, because you're very busy at the front there.
I am.
Had to stop a couple times.
I'm sure everyone's dying to see you.
I know, I have like a whole posse waiting for me at the front now.
And of course, as always,
thank
thanks
you.
Jessica as well.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks for sharing your stories, guys. And I hope you really change someone's life.
Could be. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Again, guys, hicksonrealestateteam@gmail.com. Or you can hit us up on social media at hicksonrealestate, blah, blah, blah. This and that, TikTok and Instagram and all that. Guys, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.